Some Mensa fucking genius on TikTok doesn't understand what I mean when I say that you should approach your workout the way like a masseuse or a therapist approaches like treating someone. Yeah. It's just like gone right over his head. So we're going to address that for him so he can catch up to the rest of the world. He's like, well, what do you mean though? How should you approach working out? It's like, I just said it at the beginning of the video. I just said it.
Wicked, 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 wicked. Wicked tones, you know.
Slowly warm up your body, get into movements that are gonna help you be more efficient later on when you're working out. It's like I'm doing a lot of glute stuff to warm up today, because I'm gonna do like a makeshift leg workout because I've been having issues with my hip. I'll show people what issues with your hip means. So they're aware. This isn't like imaginary problems where people are like, oh, my L4 and L5 are shifted, and I think they're shifted to the side. It's like, that's my hip. It's a metal hip resurfacing. So like, those are real issues, right? Yeah. Of like having to warm up your hips properly and approach things right, because I didn't for a long time, and paid the price by getting a metal cap on my femur and a metal cup, I guess you could say, in my hip socket. And now that's failing because there's so much damage in that area that arthritis is creeping in again, right? So I gotta keep the old boy moving until we're in the wheelchair. It won't be that bad though, because I'll get a motorized cart. I'll just be buzzing around, running people's feet over and kicking tripods with my good leg. I think it was me and Antoine had this idea of like having flags in our pocket, like in the football field, and they throw a flag for a penalty. So every time you see something fucked up in the gym, you just fucking launch a flag at it.
Not all that long ago, they're starting to get tough.
Fouls on the play. Unnecessary, after the play was over, unnecessary roughness on number 52. Excuse me a minute.
Okay.
Mike, this is like a want to get away commercial.
Can you imagine just people just staying there like, shorts are too short? That one's really got people going. I think that upset people more than the kicking of a tripod. A lot of people on this, and they'll do it on this too, because they don't hyper connect. When I say hyper connect, I mean they don't like try to connect their legs to this pad. So I'm trying to make myself mush into this pad. So wherever this pad goes, my legs go. I'm not trying to get here and go and push the pad off my leg. Do you know what I mean? I'm trying to ride the tension of this pad as it goes in and out. So I'm connected to it at whatever speed I need to be at to maintain contact with it. So if I start, it's easier if you start in like a squatted position, because now I'm hip pressure out and pushing out on here, and then I can ride that tension up. There's different shit you can do on this machine. A lot of gyms have this, or like you can even do it off of a double leg. You can just use one leg. You don't need to use both, right? But the thing is, if you keep your hip dropped more in the seat, and I'm more dug down. Oh, it's the cookies. Cookies. All right. Appreciate it. I gotta try them one more time. They got the stencil on them. It's burned in with a cast iron. Sprayed on. If you keep your hip dug down and you have this feeling of like almost like my hip is lower than my knee and I'm extending up through and I'm ripping up, like I'm being pulled kind of down and up like this, and I'm flicking out, you're gonna get more teardrop. It's gonna be super intense on teardrop, just because of the angle of like ripping, pulling down and then squeezing out through is really gonna pull on your teardrop, right? So if you have issues with that, or you wanna find another angle, all you have to do is lift your hip up. So instead of being so tucked down into my hip here, I'm more on back pad and I'm more loose in my hip so that I can squeeze up through. And I have tension of my leg raising and then flexing more. So there's not as much flexion in my knee as there is here. I'm more caught on my quad and I'm rocking up through, flexing. So I'm getting more meat of my quad. That's the technical term. You look that up in an anatomy book. So you can do the same thing here, just catch and throw. So my weight stays back more as opposed to this where I'm crunching in here and I'm rocking. All my weight's down in my hip and in the seat. Nothing in my back pad, right? So just playing with little angles like that and little variations will change the way you feel stuff. You don't need to go to new machines. Same thing on this. A lot of people don't understand that this thigh pad or this quad pad is for you to dig into, right? And so you want to get, I want to get leverage into this so I'm pressed in my hip forward, my hip's engaged, it's not here. I want to be pressed here so that when I bend my knee, all the pressure goes into this pad and I'm just able to hold on hamstring, right? I don't want to rock, I don't want to kick off my pad and kick off. I want to roll up through. So I'm bending knee and scooping heel. We got to go over too about, it's just on TikTok. It's not on Instagram. But like TikTok is this world where like people just either one, don't listen, or two, just too stupid to fucking understand what I'm saying. Like, which is like, cool. I'm not smart at everything in life, that's for sure. But like, if I hear someone say something and I hear it, I can understand what was said, unless it's some concept I've never grasped before. When I'm talking about holding a plate and pressing it out, that's a useless movement. I'm telling people like, you hold the plate and you do this press out thing because you're trying to squeeze inner pec. You guys can pretend like you're trying to do something else. That's all you're trying to do because you saw some dick a long time do it. And when you rock back, you're getting that sensation in your pec. That was the point of the video. Not saying you should or should not do that, just saying that the only reason why you get sensation when you do it is because you're moving properly. So think about that movement pattern on your pressing, and this need to press a plate like this to get stimulation in there will be obsolete. You don't need it. Like, I don't understand how that was so fucking hard to grasp. It's like I gotta make follow-up videos because people are just like, and people don't understand, like, you're watching a snippet of a video, like a minute clip of a 15-minute video. And you're like, well, what do we do then? They're just waiting for someone to tell them. It's like, it's actually fucking scary. Like, this day and age that you're just waiting for someone to tell you how to do something. Like, they can just rule your life. Like, no, you're gonna do it this way now. That's all you're gonna do is do it this way. And they're like, yes, this way. It's like, you're just being presented with various versions of stuff or techniques that you can try. The end goal is for you to do it on your own, man. Devise your own plan. And just sit in front of a screen and be like, tell me what to do. Tell me what to do. It's like, fuck me, man. It's also a good thing on hamstring curl, especially one leg and double. But to understand the tempo of a hamstring curl, it's like, when I get closer to the bottom, I want to slow down the momentum. So the drop can be kind of quick, but at the bottom, I want to like almost drop and catch and come up, right? I don't want to just be rocking on this like hyper activated hamstring and just rocking back and forth and limiting the range of motion of my hamstring and where it rocks to like a few inches, as opposed to like letting my leg extend and then curling up through my entire hamstring to move the weight, right? So that's gonna lead into the next thing we're gonna do, where people think that if they can trap weight on an angle or in a position where they're strong, and they can jack the weight up as high as they can, that means that you think somehow that you're doing something beneficial for yourself because you're able to move a bigger load, right? So this is what we're gonna get into. There's a lot of people, a lot of females, to be honest, that are really guilty of this, going on leg presses, because everyone knows the wider stance the leg press gets, the harder it gets to control the weight. It becomes heavier. It's harder because there's more muscles involved. A lot of people are very weak, inner thigh weak, quad dominant. So they don't want to like be put in a position where they're vulnerable. which is, this is a vulnerable position for most people, is this open position with my inner thigh having to work, right? So this weight coming onto me, holy fuck, I don't even know how people fit in this fucking thing. They want to stay in, they don't want to be in this position where the knees can flare out and we can create this V and sit into our hips and press out. I'm too damn big for this machine, but I'm just showing you. A lot of people use this machine and they fuck up on it. So it's like they get their feet together, which this is the most powerful position I can be in. My hips are pinched in, my legs are slammed together, and I'm able to just press. My range of motion sucks. It's fucking terrible. It would be a little better if we put the feet lower and opened the toes a bit, and then let our knees drift a bit and pressed off. Because then at least we'd be getting depth in our press, and the knees would be flaring a bit. But these people, straight fucking ahead, straight knees up, flex out. It's like, you don't understand girls, because it's mostly girls I see doing this. It's like, just because you can get in that position and you can load this thing up with 6 plates, your legs aren't improving. You're working one facet, one, let's say, angle of your legs, and like we said, your hips are pinched in, my knees are pinched in, everything's jammed into one straight line, moving like a piston firing straight ahead. Not like a dynamic thing with like your individual legs folding and pushing out, your inner thigh having to fire, your glute to fire, your hamstring having to fire. It's like, oh, I'm just gonna work quads, so I'm gonna do this tight stance nonsense. It's like, you guys understand, the more the knee bends, the more quad we get. Like, there's a reason for why your knee bends as far as it does. If I'm only bending to half rep here, so I'm here and I'm pressing, I'm even gonna take this off. And I find this thing where I can, like, these people pull and they trap, and they pull, bang, bang, bang. It's like, I can do fucking 25 plates a side like that. But as soon as I do this, I'm like, uh-oh. Because now I don't have that, like, I can't pinch in, I have to stabilize and press. So if you can't take that down and understand that your feet can lock you here and you can press out, make my inner thigh, make my hamstring fire, you're never gonna have a 3-dimensional leg. You're gonna be able to say, oh, I put 10 plates on each side and I move the weight for fucking 20 reps, but then you stand up and your fucking hamstrings suck. And your fucking glutes are saggy. You have no dimension to your fucking leg. The only fucking thing that looks good is when you stand straight on, we see your quad. Maybe a little side view because your quad's overdeveloped a bit. But hamstrings fucking flat as the fucking floor, and glutes are fucking as long as a fucking 45-pound plate. You know what I mean? You got long ass. So it's like, you're not developing the way you should. You're just like, oh, the more weight, the bigger my legs are getting. And it's primarily females doing that. They don't see a lot of guys doing that. Guys just take a fucking heavy ass fucking weight and they take a decent stance and they just quarter rep it. So they're doing, it's just as bad, but at least they're like opening up their stance a bit. Like these girls, like, I don't know, it really pisses me off to no end, because I see and I hear this shit all the time with these girls training and working out, and they're like, oh, I just train glutes and I don't train my quads. I'm like, what is this, the sport of like, bikini and shit like that is the sport of just like not developing entire physiques, just developing part of physiques and developing like massive imbalances, and then like putting these girls in these hyper arched positions all the time and working glutes in hyper arched positions, never rolling the spine, never like anterior tilting the spine. It's always posterior tilted. So they're never flat like this. It's always just like tucked back like this all the time. And then they wonder why they can't control their lower ab. Because if I'm standing like this all the fucking time, whatever I'm doing, even if they're in their back pose and they're this, it's this hyper arching in the lower back, or these side poses where it's like this lean shit. It's like you're not controlling ab. Like it's just hanging. And they're like, oh, I'll overcompensate by wearing a waist trainer. Wrong. That's not gonna help, because that's gonna teach you to completely relax your ab. Especially because the waist trainer, as we all know, is very tight around the middle and is laxed around the bottom and the top, because there's just not as much tension. It can't be a uniform tension. It's very hard to find something that's uniform the whole way, like saran wrap. You know what I mean? So you lose control of your lower ab, and you see these girls walking around, they're in great shape, and they got this gut hanging. It's like, that's not gonna help, man. Like, and you taking these, and you doing these shitty range of motions on stuff is also gonna blow out your gut, because one, you're not getting full range and you're pinning in tight, and the weight's falling on you, and it's like this pressurized in your stomach, almost pushing off, pushing off, pushing off. There's no ab in, there's no chest high. It's just like, let the weight fall on me and push it away from me. Just bang, 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 bang. It's like unbelievable. Like this obsession with weight has transferred into, like, trickled into other areas of the physique world, and just understood, like, girls who do bikini, you put so much time and effort into glute work, like a ridiculous amount of focused effort and time into glute work. It's actually fucking insane. Like, you should get mentally checked out, because you understand, if my glute is overdeveloped and nothing is developed around it, you look weird. Your physique does not look good. You see the best bikini girls in the world, they have nice quads, they have a decent hamstring, they also happen to have a glute. It's not just glutes. And if you talk to a bikini girl, it's all glutes and posing. Just glutes, 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 4 days a week. It's like, so if I work my biceps 4 days a week, concentrated, just my biceps for 4 days a week, what do you think the odds of them improving that much is? Or me just heading towards an injury, because I'm just overstressing that body part, right? But you somehow think that your glutes are different. So now your glutes are so overtrained that you actually have the opposite problem. Most people's glutes have trouble activating properly. Yours are hyperactive. And now they're locking in your lower back. They're tightening up your hamstrings, because there is no fucking hamstring. So the glute's doing everything. And you're wondering why you have this back pain. Or later in life, you're gonna be walking and your legs are just gonna give out on you, because you don't have any control over, like, your quads, your groin, your hamstring, just this arch and this glute, which is gonna fail at some point, right? Because you're overtaxing it. And girls need to understand as well, women have hips. They have wider hips than men, because they give birth to children. They carry kids. They're meant to. That's the purpose of it. So they have wider hips to be able to have children, right? So it's like, if you're a woman whose hips are already wide, if we want to fully develop the leg, we almost have to open up the hip and relax it wider than to have it pinned in here. Because this is where I'm just strong. And you'll see a lot of girls, and a lot of guys do it too. When they go to leg press, or they go to do a lunge even, it's this massive, you'll see this diverging knee. So it's like, the knees will come in, and they'll press, they'll curve in like this. They can't maintain this position. So as soon as the weight comes at them, this, right? So we gotta get used to this hip being rolled out and open and activated, which will activate your glute. So if you don't know how to activate your hips, which are joined to your glute, how is your glute ever gonna develop properly, right? It's just like, and you'll see these girls and guys, they do lunges, and when they step on the lunge, they step here. Like, look where my hip is relative to my knee. I want to be here. Other people will tell you different. They're fucked. Like, if you're directing someone to take a lunge step with their hip outside their knee on like a straight line, you're like, let me see your leg development. Did a partnership with Crumbs from the 6 W on there, stenciled. I don't even know what he put that on there. I think it's chocolate. The inside is like, if I remember correctly, yeah, it's like fluff, like marshmallow and fudge. And then there's chocolate chunks throughout. And on top is this like graham cracker kind of fluff or dust. Just go on Crumbs from the 6, the Wicked cookies on there. Buy a whole box for all your after show needs. Or if you're just a fat ass like me, just buy a box. Eat it anytime.